Hello, and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Isolde Trachtenberg. I am super happy that you're here and grateful for your attention on this beautiful day. I don't know if it's beautiful where you are right now. The sky's blue, the clouds are white, the sun is shining, and I am, yes, outside in my car studio because there's construction going on next door to my apartment, and it literally shakes the entire building. So I am just going to keep doing these car episodes in the hopes that someday the construction will be over. That's life in New York City, apparently, that you're going to have this kind of wacky construction that can take years. Probably by the time we're ready to move out of this apartment, it will be that way. Anyway, so I want to talk to you about something that I've been thinking about a good bit, and that is why vegan, why plant-based. There's a distinction to be made, and it's a marketing distinction as well as a perception distinction between vegan and plant-based. And if you're not vegan and you're going, ugh, not another vegan crowing about this stuff, I understand, and bear with me because there's some important stuff to think about here. So I just recently got pitched by a woman who has this incredibly organic, healthy, plant-based restaurant. The PR person who was pitching her talked her up great, and it sounded amazing. And here's the thing that happened, though, when I did my due diligence, as I always do before I agree to take a guest on this show for Interview Mondays. And I saw that her restaurant was plant-based, which is a good sign. And then after all of the organic this and coconut that and super cool herbs the other, it said, and a small amount of impeccably sourced animal protein. And you have to wonder, what does that mean? They don't say meat in the PR and marketing materials on the website. It says animal protein. And you have to, like, I went, okay, so not vegan, plant-based, which to them means mostly plants, but some dead animals, or some dead animal product, I guess. And so you have to start thinking about the language we use, why we use it, what the goals are. And in this restaurant, they want you to be thinking healthy, organic, all this stuff. But what they don't want you to think, oh, and by the way, we also feature some dead animals. They're a small amount of our menu, but it's still there. And so if you're vegan, you kind of go, so plant-based must mean vegan, but it doesn't. In this case, and probably in other cases, the marketing folks go, well, what do we want to have facing front? We want to have facing front that this place is organic and it's good for you, and we offer these herbs that you can't find anywhere but Central America or whatever the place is. And yet, here's the issue. The issue is if you're someone who is vegan for ethical reasons, like I am, you look at that and you go, oh, plant-based, super cool. Oh, no. And why? Well, it's because the language makes it seem like it's one thing when it's actually another. And the whole animal protein is buried deep within the story of the place. And I'm not going to name the place because that's not what this is about. But I want to sort of caution us all to think about, what does it mean when we're talking about this stuff? What does it mean when we're dealing with this kind of marketing and PR information, right? Do we be brutally honest and go, yes, we serve dead animals. That's part of our menu. And that, of course, I understand I'm using words that most people don't want to think about, right? That's why we don't call it dead pig. We call it pork. Right? We don't call it dead cow, we call it beef, because the language matters. If more people kept hearing dead cow, dead cow, dead cow, slaughtered pig, slaughtered pig, slaughtered pig, they would get turned off probably faster. So we call it pork or beef. Chicken is called chicken, which I think is interesting. And turkey is called turkey, and I wonder why. It is something to think about, though. We distance ourselves from something that could potentially be horrible or horrifying by using different words. And in the case of this restaurant, they distance themselves sort of from even, they don't say meat, they say animal protein, right? They don't say dead flesh, they say animal protein. Why? Because consciousness is changing, perceptions are changing, and expectations are changing. We, the people, are wanting a different kind of food now. We want to know where our food comes from. We want to know where it's sourced. We want to know if it's organic. And yes, I understand I'm talking probably about the developed world. Let's call it what it is. In the developing world, it's different. And yes, I have the luxury of eating organic. Yes, I have the luxury of eating vegan, and I get that. I understand my privilege here. I do. And maybe I'm just talking to those of us who have that choice, who aren't living a life where we have no choice but to slaughter the pig. I don't know. Honestly, this is another one of those things that I could explore forever and ever. Amen. How do we figure that out? And how do we prioritize what we're going to do, what we're going to put in our bodies? And I'm going through that very thing right now because I keep saying that I'm vegan for the animals, and I have to sort of start thinking about my health too, because there are some potential things that I need to worry about as a woman who of a certain age, if you will. I'm a woman in my 50s. I'm 55 years old, and I'm pretty open about that. But that means that, our bodies have a shelf life, right? So in order to take care of myself, in order to really focus in on what that means for me, I have to be wary of what I put in my body, and I have to call it what it is. And so, yes, you can be a very unhealthy vegan, as I have been. I have eaten lots of French fries cooked in avocado oil, which avocado oil isn't bad for you, but let me tell you something. Many, many French fries, and you could be in trouble. So these are all things for us to think about as, and I apologize. I realize this episode is meandering a little bit, but really the perception is changing. How we think of this stuff is changing, and it's important for us to really put that in our sort of thinking caps as we think about it, as we determine how we're going to use language in our interactions, in our social media posts, all of that. We need to know, we need to have that information front and center so that we can make better decisions, but also so that we can help others, people who we might influence with our words, help them make better decisions, help them make more honest decisions, and help them really figure out for themselves, as well as each other, what they want to do with their time and their money and their attention. I apologize again for this meandering episode, but I do think it's important for us to think about and talk about. And I'm going to talk more about this notion of our language and what we want to be saying versus what we are saying, and whether or not we're saying what we mean to say. This is Isolde Trachtenberg for the Innovative Mindset Podcast, because this is all about mindset, and it's all about communication and how we interact with those in our sphere. Until next time, I remind you that to innovate ethically, you need to be bold, be creative, and most of all, be kind. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and it would mean the world to me if you told a friend about it. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright 2021. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, remember to be bold, be creative, and most of all, be kind.